It's my pleasure to be in conversation with Kartiki Gonsalves, who is a debut filmmaker with an Oscar nomination, and producer Guneet Monga. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you, Shilpa, for
Hello.
having us here.
Hi,
Hello.
it's so
Hi.
fantastic to talk to the two of you. Firstly, the question that everyone wants to know: how is that Oscar campaign going? How is the buzz going? And how are you dealing with all these questions on a day-to-day basis that someone asks you about your chances at the Oscars? Guneet, I know you've been there before, but I'm sure it's a very special experience nonetheless.
Absolutely, this is, I have been there before with my films. In 2010, with a short fiction film called Kavi. In 2019, with Period End of Sentence, a short documentary. But this is the first time I'm nominated. And two people get nominated on a film, so it's always a journey. Even I learned it over the years. So this is the first time I'm nominated, so I'm over the moon and excited. Very grateful for this whole experience and opportunity to Kartiki and to Netflix and to Raghu and Amu more than anything else. But yes, on the campaign, I think we surface in LA, we all get there by 12th of Feb. And Netflix has already had the campaign started with our screenings being planned, with, bookings done for screenings, with press blasts, e-blasts going out there to all Academy members. February 13th is the Academy lunch for all nominees. And a month from then, March 12th, is the Oscar Awards. So we will be there the whole month doing the campaign. And we've been doing a lot of online press right now, spreading the word, talking about the film, making sure more and more people see it, reaching out to people on emails. So that is the kind of work we are doing right now. And in a week's time, we will be together in LA and pushing forward in person.
A quick note to our viewers, most of our Oscar nominations, unfortunately, we are the last in India to see, but The Elephant Whisperers is streaming on Netflix India. It's been streaming for a while, so you can catch it. And this is a film that's currently nominated for the Oscars coming up. Kartiki, speaking of that, historic. You're only the second Indian filmmakers to get this documentary short nomination. How do you feel?
I'm extremely thankful and really overwhelmed at this time, and I think it's absolutely surreal. And I really, I was actually on this island in Seattle in the US with my sister when it was 5 a.m. in the morning, and I just woke up feeling really anxious in the morning on of the Academy Award nomination ceremony, which actually went live at 5:30 a.m. over here. So it was really anxious for me in the beginning, but then I think after that I relaxed a little bit. But I think I'm extremely thankful to the wonderful team at Netflix for believing in the power of this truly unique story and of this beautiful family from the south of India, and which showcases the lovely sacred bond between man and animal. The Elephant Whisperers is a hopeful story of respect for and cooperation with nature in an era rife with conflict and denial of the threats to our beautiful planet. So it really took 5 years to make my debut documentary, The Elephant Whisperers. And it was a long personal journey from the place that I call home. And that wouldn't have been possible without the support of the Kartanagan community, who opened their hearts and trusted us with their unique experiences and a pathway ahead. On behalf of Bomman and Bellie and our beautiful elephant friends, Raghu and Amu, we're really thrilled to receive this great honor. And I'm also thrilled that the extra publicity will help spread the message of the documentary. And I'm really grateful to Sikya and to Guneet for everything that they've put into it and for all their support along this journey.
Kartiki, it is but natural, I feel, that as a debut filmmaker, you shoot what you know, and it's incredible that you actually grew up near this sanctuary of elephants. The way you stumbled upon this story is so organic. Do take our viewers through that.
In simple words, I think it would have to begin with the fact that I actually fell in love with Raghu. And in this time, there are so many stories of animals being killed and species dying out. And this is a positive story that really highlights the beauty of man and animal working together. And I believe coexistence is the way that we need to move forward into the future. Not only with mutual respect and cooperation can we save the planet. And the story really needed to be told right now because of, I think, of the current climate change situation of, and also human encroachment on the habitat of wildlife. And I think we really need to learn to respect other animals, and the elephant is extremely intelligent, emotional, and a social animal. So it's really good place to start for me. And I think humans can relate to elephants because elephants share so many human traits. And it really began when I was driving on my way to Bangalore in India to shift back home to my family house back in the mountains in Uti in the Nilgiris. And I first met Raghu when he was just 3 months old. And Bowman noticed my curiosity, and he sort of beckoned to me to come out. So I pulled my car onto one side and I jumped out and went to join them. And I think over the course of that evening, I really forged an unbreakable bond with Raghu, and that just continued and still continues as of today. It brought me so much happiness to be able to share this beautiful connection with a being that was so wild and so young and extremely vulnerable at 3 months. And that's something that I observed when I spent all this amount of time with Raghu. And what is really special is that I really noticed that Bowman and Raghu had this extremely special bond together. And it was something like I'd never seen before. I'd always seen men with their older elephants, but here we had this beautiful family dynamic of Bomman and Bellie and Raghu in the picture. And it was like this complete family together. And it was the beginning of a journey that I think will live on for life for me. And the three of us that evening would just splash around in the water, and he would pull my hair, and he would just love flinging water up into the air. He was just really, really, really cute at that age as well. And I think that also just came to the fact that this is a sort of bittersweet beginning to the story for me, because the Asian elephant is losing its habitat at a very rapid pace due to encroachment and climate change in a country like India, which is so fast developing. And I wanted the story to be positive. So I didn't want to focus on all the depressing parts when there was such beauty that was present, and this really unusual family dynamic when you have these human caregivers looking after an orphaned elephant. And because Raghu's mother was electrocuted and she died instantly as her herd wandered into a nearby village in search of food and water, it was mainly because of a prolonged drought that was in the space at that time. And this was really depressing to see because it was also the space that I called home. So I think it just boils down to the fact that I really wanted people to be able to understand these beautiful beings on a deeper level, and to also recognize their similar traits and intelligence. And I hope to get people to want to protect them and their landscape, because that's the place that they call home and that's what they need to thrive. And I wanted to show the importance of indigenous people and their knowledge. And I think most importantly, to give indigenous people a voice. And Bowman Belly, Raghu Namu are just extremely special. And what they share together is something that I've never ever come across in my life before. And I think that's where we really began just documenting everything that happened during this 5 year long journey. And it's also home to me, which made it extra special. And I think that's how the Elephant Whisperers really came into being.
Guneet, when did you come on board this documentary?
So, Kartiki's been on this journey for 5 years, and Kartiki went and discovered the story, of course, close to home for her, and then put together and shot some stuff, put together a reel, reached out to Netflix, and this was the Netflix documentary team. And I had just done Period End of Sentence also with Netflix. So they reached out to me to come on board as a producer, both Kartiki and Netflix. And I saw the material, I was blown away. I was blown away by Kartiki's visual sense, by, of course, the story. And who can say no to baby elephants, right? So, but for me, the highlight was meeting Kartiki, was meeting her, knowing her worldview into this story, knowing how, purest her idea of this story has been, staying true to the jungle, staying true to the community, staying true to the elephants, first making friends with them and then getting into their world to be able to understand the story and to be able to understand them deeply. So of course I was very, very moved and overjoyed to be a part. And I think this for me, if I have to say like this, ticks all boxes of a gorgeous, beautiful story held by a woman filmmaker. I am overjoyed to be a part of it and to do my bit.
Well, yes, you're right. Art is art, but especially when it's a film that talks about something that is so important and in such a beautiful way, which is you're politically correct in the times that we're living in. For example, the way you've given the indigenous people the ownership of the documentary Kartiki, I found that something that is so idealistic and ambitious, as Guneet is saying, like you need a vision that is not just pure, but also you need that kind of drive to make sure that you bond with that community so much that you become unintrusive, your camera becomes non-obtrusive. How did you think you could achieve it, and what do you think? I've usually talk about the challenges, but what do you think help you overcome all those challenges, like mammoth-sized, elephant-sized challenges?
I think I don't know if we really had mammoth challenges, but I think just documenting in such a wild space itself is in itself is a challenge, I think, because you're working day in and day out with actual predators. You had tigers and leopards and bears and all of those can really take you away in half a second. So I think it's the vulnerability of just being in the open outdoors, which was the biggest challenge, I would say. But then that's what also really pushed me to go ahead with something like this. And I think there's a big difference between documentary filming and fiction filming. And I think that's why it took 5 years to make the film, because a lot of the time was just being out there and noticing things and being invisible. And I think a certain amount of trust needs to be built before you actually go out into the field and start documenting. So I think that's where I spent a lot of time with Bomman, Bellie, and Raghu even before I really picked up a camera. And that comes from my background in natural history and social documentary, is just building a connection with your subjects. And I think one of the most important things when it comes to documentary filming is to try and be invisible. I think trying to be there but not be there at the same time, because Bowman and Belly are not actors and the elephants are not actors. So you're really working with people who just have to go about their daily life, and to make them feel comfortable in front of the camera, you need to have a special connection with them. And that's what really took a fair amount of time, I would say, and just getting to know them and understanding that I was there to represent them and I was not there to harm them in any way. And that takes time. And I think over that, you just try to choose passionate people and find people who can let the subject express themselves completely, and to always be aware and to catch the unexpected. Because I think when it comes to fiction, a lot of people head in and they have a script, they know what they're going to film and they know what is expected of the subjects. But with documentary, it doesn't work that way. You go in literally without knowing what's going to happen. And I think that gives it a certain element of surprise in the whole package. And I think while most documentaries come from the past in some way, or it's a culmination of archival footage, this documentary was literally in the present. We were filming for the whole 5 years, which is the exact chunk that's in the documentary. So it's really hard not to get emotionally invested into many things that were happening on the ground. But I think as documentary filmmakers, we really need to remember that we're merely spectators and we're there to document. So, and I think having all these close encounters with wild animals, with elephants and tigers. I think on shoot we encountered at least 5 to 6 tigers and at least 10 leopards over the period of 5 years. And these were very close instances. There was a tiger just outside our vehicle, which was less than 5 feet away. So all of this put together was just extremely beautiful to be able to have witnessed all of this. And I think some of the other things that came into play were we decided to go completely 100% natural light for the documentary. And while natural light really shows the beauty of nature and the way it actually takes on to its subjects, but I think it's also challenging with dealing with the contrast between sunlight and shade. And I think it's also really ethical when you're working with subjects like elephants, that you really need to keep in mind the ethical ways of working with animals and make sure that there's no disturbance that comes towards the elephants or any other animal in that sense. So I think these were some of the struggles that we had during the process, but nothing really mammoth. I think the
Wow.
most is that we got chased by a big elephant once and was really close.
Yeah,
So.
but so was it a playful chase or was that actually like an angry elephant?
Oh no, this was a wild elephant who chased our Jeep down and
Oh,
almost
wow.
actually caught the vehicle. So we had a couple of instances, a couple of close calls, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure over the course of 5 years, you have a lot of incidents like that. But it's very interesting to me that the choices that I thought were natural, the fact that you shot in natural light, were actually conscious choices that you made. I feel like all of them added to a documentary which is ethical and pure, definitely, but also a joyous lens which minds this whole experience of those two foster parents for knowledge and for joy, a documentary that looks forward. I think definitely all fine. We know that the academy loves such a lens. We know they love such a subject. I want to talk about the chances of this, usually with the underdogs, but the elephants, and you are forerunners in your category. How do you feel? How confident you feel ahead of the Oscars?
Well, I think that each of the documentaries that is out there has something very special to put out to the world. And I think it's been really special just being in the US and actually meeting all of the other people in person, because you really get to learn that each person is on their own independent journey, be it something that they want to fight for, be it a message they want to put out into the world. I think that's what I really love about documentary. It's people coming with a message that they want to take out to the rest of the world, and they're all on their independent journeys. And I will actually let Guneet take over this, because she's amazing at this, and this is right up her space.
Yeah, you're such an enthusiastic producer, Guneet. I think that is one of the most exciting qualities you bring to the table.
I mean, I would just say, may the best film win. I just think everybody puts their heart and soul, and any filmmaker's dream is to be at Oscars. For Kartiki and me, I think we were very grateful to be shortlisted. We are very grateful to be with Netflix. That has, for us, being on Netflix is like putting a hoarding on the moon, with 223 million viewers around the world, with 190 countries, and so easy to watch, So that's definitely an advantage that we have, a powerhouse of a studio. And so we were very grateful to be shortlisted. We were actually very excited to be nominated. We've put videos out that you can see on our social media. So yes, to win will be surreal if grace happens. I feel like some sort of grace needs to play part for the winning. I think we've done our best. We've worked very hard, put our film out there, put our message out there. It's something. It's the film also is deeply spiritual and deeply universal, though it's so local and in a village in South India. So this is what we could do. And now we are spending a month there doing a campaign, working closely with the Netflix teams. And now rest. We will know if this comes for India. We will be, of course, so grateful. Yeah.
I think I'd also like to definitely add that I think in spite of having the nomination, I think one really important thing that we need to keep in mind is that the documentary has a life of its own, and it's out there to reach out to thousands of people and touch them. And irrespective of whatever happens beyond this, I think we're just really happy. I think Guneet and me are just overly joyed that the message is going to continue and have its life beyond this and still touch people across the world in some way. So I think we're just really happy.
Well, this nomination is very personal to India, or millions of Indians are going to be rooting for you. But I feel it's such an emotive documentary that anyone who watches it is going to have a personal vested interest in the two of you winning. I do truly wish you all the very best. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking to you once you win those golden statuettes.
Thank you.
Thank you.